think everybody was searching for a balanced education. We weren't looking for an art school. We weren't looking for Ivy League prep school. We wanted an education that would give opportunities for learning. And I think that ideally would be what drew most of the families to the school.
I'm Glenn Herbert, and I'm an editor with Our Kids. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading private schools to gain insights into their programs, culture, traditions, and leadership. This includes insights from parents, alumni, and administrators. This is the Our Kids Insider Perspective.
We first saw an advertisement for the Waldorf School in a magazine that we read regularly. So we had a sense from just that information that Waldorf was a school that really shared our values of a connection with nature, learning in a natural way. And then we went to do a kindergarten tour there. And seeing the environment, seeing the kindergarten classroom and that whole wing of the school and all the sort of natural toys there. There was nothing plastic, and the curriculum is sort of timed, the content is timed so that it meets the child where they're at developmentally. And so that seemed just really thoughtful to me.
Once we got in there, we were actually going to learn a lot as parents and how to parent and how to deal with kids and understanding temperaments and that kind of thing. And that took us along a path that where we were engaged, fully engaged, because we were learning so much as parents. Well, I think the school was beneficial to each of them differently. One of them where they were more less secure. This school provided this warmth and embracing place for them to grow and let them be who they are. And then on the other hand, it also provided opportunities for new learning experiences that we couldn't provide. For the one thing that always comes to me is how the beautiful drawings that my younger son does, and I have no drawing skills whatsoever. So they were able to teach him these handwork skills that I wasn't able to teach them. So different aspects of the school provided different benefits for each of them.
Yeah, and we would see drawing became just a part of their everyday life. And as they continued on in the school, the way that the curriculum, offered art instruction, it was sort of in a part of all of the classes. It wasn't just a separate art class. That sort of creativity, the making their work beautiful, that value sort of persisted throughout their school years, and that they can see that as part of their just part of life. So that's really something that we valued and see them taking away.
Well, and as to, how that reflected in their home life, it just seemed to be seamless. There didn't seem to be, they're one way at school and another way at home. They would bring the stories and bring the play and their, what they're feeling, they would bring it home and share it, and you could see it expressed in the way they're playing at home.
Both really valued the sports program in the school. They're both physically active kids, and any child in the school, in the middle school, could play any of the sports. So all the kids were welcome, regardless of, ability. Whoever was interested could play, and they could play everything.
3 things come to mind for me. One is the experiential nature of science and the way they teach. It's a lot of hands-on. You don't just sit in your desk, be quiet and listen and memorize. It's very engaged learning, and I think that whether they would outwardly express that they appreciated that, I think it was a great way for them to learn, and they probably enjoyed that part of it. The second thing that comes to mind is the class 8 or class 9 play for one of my kids. The teacher really understood each of the kids and put a role in place that really let them live up to their character. And it was a comedy. And it was very funny because the kids were super engaged and just over the top expressing themselves. So that probably would be another one. And then my eldest son had the opportunity of going on a salt sailing trip, and they got to really bond as a group. And he was on a high after that, like the camaraderie amongst the teachers and the people running the program and his fellow schoolmates. It was great. So there's a few things.
I remember, seeing that they would learn the times tables through movement. They would kind of learn these movement patterns along with the times tables. And so the learning was occurring kind of in a whole body way. And that I really loved. It wasn't just sort of these separated subjects, and it was sort of the coherent whole, and just the beauty of the school itself, and the also the effort that the teachers put into not only helping the kids learn to live in a community themselves, but also helping us get to know each other as parents, and helping us develop a really strong parent community was also a really important part of our experience there.
That's a perfect segue. Thank you, Julie. Because community was going to be exactly what I was going to say. It just, from the beginning to right now, community was everything. It kind of embodies everything. There was the class itself. The teacher really made an effort to get the parents together. So we got to know each other, and we became really good friends with a lot of those parents. And so there's community at that level. They did a really good job of engaging older children with younger children and mixing classes, this buddy system that created a community across the different grades in the school. And then there's the things that they did for Calgary community, went out into the community, they do volunteering, they do fundraising. And I think the overall emphasis on raising good human beings takes us to the world, the global community, and that just infuses out forever. So.
I would say the depth of the program, learning about the temperaments and how that can, that helps the teachers and that can help us understand our kids and each other. Just the learning, I think, that we got as parents, and the depth of the program, even though that was part of what we understood intellectually about the school. I think experiencing it was just so, just really so impressive.
Coming into the school, I was on the board for a little while, so I had the opportunity of working with everybody, the admin staff and teachers and everybody, and just the warmth and the respect that they had and the absolute dedication to the kids and their learning. Like, they consistently, everybody put themselves secondary, sometimes to their detriment, but they were very, very dedicated, and you could just feel that different sense of warmth within the school. And to be taking part in that and meeting with people and working with those people was really it changed me, and I think I got to grow a lot from it.
Even in the early childhood wing, they would have snack time, and they would, set the table, the little table. The kids would be involved in the preparing of the snack, the cutting of the fruit, or the baking of the little mini muffins that they would make. If as they were having their snack, kids that were just seeming, be having a kind of a hard day in whatever way that would show up, the teacher would come by where they were sitting, and they would just straighten out the the table settings around them. Everything sort of in a neat way. And that, I thought, was just this gentle way of, showing that there is such value in the child's environment, and that when the environment is in disarray and the child is having a hard day, they don't have to come and discipline the child. They don't have to approach it that way. They can do it in this really subtle but helpful way. And you could just see the child would notice that, and it was a way of communicating that this is how we sit at the snack table, without actually putting it to them verbally. And I just thought that's such a good example of how they just sort of embodied the values that they were trying to impart to the kids.
Like a kindness and caring community where people just work really hard for their kids and want the best for their kids. And we just seem to connect personally with a lot of those families. And I wouldn't know how to describe it another way.
For our younger son, I think it would be the ongoing kind of education in the arts, and in drawing in particular for him. And painting also was, they did a real variety of sort of artistic or creative things, but that's one thing that I think that he wouldn't have had if it weren't for the school in that same way, because we couldn't have given him that type of education. And I'm not sure he would have chosen that type of education. So the drawings, and they both, I guess, drawings that they both did at the school are just really stand out to me as things of value.
The teachers were engaged at different levels, and how you had the class teacher, and then you had a group of teachers that would work together to help children out if they had a specific need. Admin and teachers they're treated equally. They work collectively, and they all are working for the better good of the school and the children. So I think that's fairly unusual. The admin team is great. Got to give a shout out to them. They work really hard and behind the scenes keep that school humming. Jody talked about how beautiful the school is. There's effort that goes into that.
We always felt that we could talk to the teacher and teachers about anything. And whenever actually the kids would have any sort of struggles, or if it would be with another child or something, or if it would be with schoolwork in some way, we would often get the message, all in time. Each child has their own sort of speed of development. You can't rush it. You have to just support them as they go, and they will develop all that they need to develop in time. And that was really true, and it was so reassuring to hear. So just the wisdom of the teachers was really so valuable.
I definitely would recommend people to go to the school. It's it's a rich experience where there's deep learning. Again, it's not the memorization. The kids are coming away with a really depth of knowledge, whether that's no matter what, math or reading, writing, the arts, that kind of thing. So to me, that would be a really huge reason. Second reason would be to be part of such a great community where it's a rich experience. I feel connected to more than myself or just the work that I do. There's a broader connection in that. So those would be the two biggest reasons for me.
If you want your kids to be really seen and understood and known and supported in such an individual way, and that's the place to go. I mean, the way that they're held, regardless of what sorts of struggles they have along the way, it's like the class teacher just always seemed to hold this this faith in the child, right, and faith in the child's development. That was so, when we as parents were kind of, oh my gosh, and we were kind of, these waves of all of these phases would crash into us. We were like, what do we do now? And they just seemed, they just had this steadiness and this faith, and that was just amazing to get to benefit from.
Well, we started right from the earliest possible time. I couldn't go back and say start earlier. I think we just made the right decision. I don't know if I would make any different choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would just say, whatever school you do get involved in, and this one included, just to ask questions, like involve yourself, engage yourself. And, the more that you do that as parents and as a family, the more that you get from the school. They're just, the teachers they're always happy to share and to, so I that's what I would say, I think.
Well, they have the school tours go on, and they have one opportunity to sit in on mock classes, so through the classes or through the grades or something like that, is a great way to see not only the early childhood, which is you'll fall in love with immediately, but as to see what benefits and what great experiences await the kids as they move through the grades.
For more information about this school, you can visit their profile at ourkids.net.